So now here for our listeners, we've got a conundrum, haven't we? We're saying, you and I are saying, that capitalism needs redeeming, but it's still the best system. There's no alternative that's ever been demonstrated to work. On the other hand, we're saying we understand why people are highly cynical about what are we going to do about it. Young Americans and young British have been plainly prepared to say, well, let's walk away from it. We'll look seriously at socialism. I owe all this money. I'm going to have my university debts scrubbed off. I don't know who's going to pay them. I can't get into a home, etc., etc. We'll go for the socialist mantra that says, we'll write off your debts, we'll give you universal health care, we'll do this, that and the other. It's a dream, I'm afraid.
It is.
History tells us it's a dream.
It's a pipe dream.
A nightmare, really.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask the average person on the street, I think, what is socialism? They really don't know. And even in the political sphere right now in America, no one's talking about classic socialism. You know, the public ownership of the means of production, distribution, and exchange. We just know that doesn't work. We've seen it fail time and time again. And the most spectacular collapse, obviously, being the collapse of the Soviet Union. But we've seen it in other smaller nations where it was tried and it failed. And of course, the Chinese experiment of having a totalitarian government but a capitalist economy, the jury's still out how that's going to work. The attraction of democratic socialism, I understand a little bit better because it isn't really socialism. Democratic socialism, as is practiced in many parts of Europe, is simply using the tax code as a way of distributing wealth that was created by the capitalists. So I can understand the attraction of that. The problem is, if you take that to its logical conclusion, you end up with classic socialism again. Yeah. And you therefore kill the goose that laid the golden egg. You disincentivize people who take the risks, who invest the money, that create the wealth. And that's what we're in danger of doing. We're in danger of creating socialism by 1,000 cuts. Now, that said, I would say that one of the problems with postmodern capitalism is the tax structure, especially in America. It is the most convoluted and complex tax structure. We have some of the richest.
I think we could probably give you a run for our money.
Maybe.
And I'm a former legislator, but it's unreal.
Yeah, but the result is that we have some of the richest individuals and richest companies are paying virtually no taxes. They can afford to find these Rube Goldberg kinds of methods to work the code and pay no taxes. That is one of the things that causes cynicism as well. If you're, again, a hardworking person, you get your first paycheck and 40% of it's been taken out, and you go, but wait a minute, I just saw on the news that Apple's not paying any taxes and they're making billions, and I'm getting 40% of my paycheck taken. How's that fair? And so, our tax code is one thing that we have to look at. But when the germ of this book was still happening, I hadn't written it yet, it was just formulating. I had a wonderful lunch with a good friend of yours, Peter Costello. And we were talking about where legislation could be used to help the problem and where it can't. And I basically said, Peter, there's a role for legislation here. We need better laws. But at the end of the day, legislation can't fix this. Only the markets can fix it. It is actually a moral problem that society has to fix through the markets.